Everyone, naririnig niyo ba ako? Am I audible? Ayun, okay. Hello everyone, this is the presentation of group number 4, and today we are tackling about the temperature and level measurements. Okay, what is temperature? Temperature is a measure of the average kinetic energy of the particles, atoms, or molecules in a substance. It indicates how hot or cold an object or environment is. And temperature measurement determines how hot or cold a material, object, or environment. It is measured in Celsius, Fahrenheit, or Kelvin, or Rankine, and reflects the average kinetic energy of the particles. And what is its importance in the modern world? And the first one is scientific research, which analyzes material behavior and chemical reactions. The second one is, well, industry, which ensures product quality and process safety. And the third one is, well, healthcare, which monitors body temperature as a health indicator. And the fourth one is it helps in aiding in weather predictions. And the last one, which is like, I don't know, maybe like the most important one, is daily life, which is used in cooking, heating, and indoor climate control. Okay, and the next one is we're gonna talk about the temperature scale.
Ngayon, ano nga ba ang temperature scale? Temperature scales are systems of measurement used to quantify temperature, each defined by specific reference points and intervals. May 4 na main temperature scale ito. Ito ay Celsius, Fahrenheit, Kelvin, and Rankine. Next, ang Celsius ay widely used globally, particularly in scientific contexts and in everyday life outside the United States. Water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius and boils at 100 degrees Celsius under standard conditions. Ang formula po nito ay 5/9 quantity Fahrenheit minus 32. Next is Fahrenheit. Predominantly used in the United States for weather, cooking, and other non-scientific purposes. Water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit and boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit under standard conditions. Formula po ay 32 plus 9/5 degrees Celsius. Next is Kelvin, used mainly in scientific contexts, particularly in physics. It is an absolute scale with 0 Kelvin being absolute zero, the point at which all molecular motion ceases. There are no negative values in Kelvin scale. To solve Kelvin, we use 273.15 plus degrees Celsius. Next is Rankine, another absolute temperature scale mainly used in engineering fields in the United States, where 0 degree Rankine equals to absolute zero and is based on the Fahrenheit scale. To solve it is 459.69 plus degree Fahrenheit. Next, we're going to talk about the temperature measuring equipment. Ang temperature measuring equipment ay ginagamit para masukat ang temperature ng isang bagay. These instruments help us understand temperature in everyday life, science, and industry. Ang una, ang bimetallic thermometer. It is a temperature sensing device that operates on the principle of thermal expansion. Ito ay isang thermometer na gawa sa dalawang magkaibang metal strip na pinagsama. When exposed to temperature changes, the metal expand or contract at equal rates, causing the strips to bend. This bending movement is then converted into a temperature indication. 2. Liquid in glass thermometer. It is among the most widely used temperature measuring devices. Basically, both yung liquid inside at yung glass container ay nag-expand when heated. And their difference in expansion is used to indicate the temperature. Kaya mahalaga ang calibration kasi kung hindi ito tama, mali din ang temperature reading, which should be checked periodically against the ice point and to account for aging effects. Next is the pressure thermometer. These are economically and versatile kaya madalas gamitin sa industrial temperature measurement. They work on the principle that the pressure of a liquid increases as it expands within a given volume. Ang kagandahan dito, mura siya, self-operating, matibay at halos wala ng maintenance. It can maintain stable operation with an accuracy of about positive negative 1 degree Celsius. Next is mercury and steel thermometer. This thermometer provides a linear scale and is suitable for temperatures between negative 25 degrees Celsius and 550 degrees Celsius. The mercury expansion depends on the temperature of not just the bulb but also the capillary and Bourdon tubes, making it prone to ambient temperature errors. Errors may also arise from changes in the position of the bulb relative to the display. To reduce error, ginagawa nilang mas malaki ang volume ng sensor bulb kaysa sa mga capillary and Bourdon tubes, increasing the thermal capacity but also causing thermal lag. Next is the vapor pressure thermometer. This device uses a pressure gauge to measure the vapor pressure of a liquid and typically employs a gas with high entropy. The gas pressure is converted into temperature readings through a Bourdon gauge calibrated with closely spaced markings. The system is partially filled with liquid and vapor, ensuring a liquid-vapor interface within the bulb. It follows Dalton's law of partial pressure, which states that if both liquid and vapor are present, there is only one saturation pressure corresponding to a given temperature. Next is the constant volume temperature thermometer. This thermometer uses an inert gas such as nitrogen and works on the principle that gas pressure rises with temperature if the volume remains constant. It can measure over a wide range from negative 130 degrees Celsius to 540 degrees Celsius, with nearly linear responses across spans up to 500 degrees Celsius. However, its drawbacks include generating relatively small pressure changes for a given temperature shifts and the added difficulty of compensating for ambient temperature effects.
For the next instrument, you have electrical resistance thermometers. Resistance thermometers work by using a metallic wire whose electrical resistance changes with temperature. And when the wire is exposed to a substance, it heats up to match the substance temperature. By measuring the change in resistance, the temperature can be accurately determined, and this makes resistance thermometers reliable tools for precise temperature measurements. Next po. We also have metallic resistance thermometers or resistance temperature detectors or RTDs. Resistance thermometers or RTDs measure temperature by detecting changes in the resistance of a metal wire, which is usually a platinum. As the temperature rises, the wire's resistance increases linearly, which allows accurate and reliable temperature measurement. They are commonly used in industrial and laboratory applications. We have also thermowell. Thermowells are tubular fittings that protect temperature sensors in industrial processes. A sensor such as a thermometer, thermocouple, or resistance temperature detector is inserted into the open end of the tube. The open end is usually outside the process piping, which allows safe and accurate temperature measurement. And also we have thermoelectric sensors or thermocouple. Thermoelectric sensors or thermocouples consist of two wires made of different metals joined at one end. They produce a voltage that depends on the temperature at the junction. This voltage can be measured and used to determine the temperature accurately. Last and semiconductor resistant sensor or thermistor. Thermistor is the apparatus consists of a contact on a substrate covered by a dielectric material with a phase change element on top. A heater embedded in the dielectric connects both the contact and the phase change element. Part of the dielectric has a thermal conductivity lower than the silicon dioxide to control heat.
Next is quartz thermometer. It uses a quartz resonator with electrodes on its upper and lower surfaces, where electric current causes torsional vibrations. The resonator's length is aligned with the x-axis of the quartz crystal, and an electronic circuit processes the vibration signal to produce an output that represents the measured temperature. Ang quartz thermometer ay gumagamit ng quartz resonator na pinagdadaluyan ng kuryente para mag-vibrate. Yung signal na galing sa vibration ay kino-convert ng circuit para malaman ang temperature. Next is pyrometer, a non-contact thermometer that measures surface temperature accurately. The term comes from the Greek word pyro, means fire, and meter means measure. Yung pyrometer naman ay kaya magsukat ng surface temperature nang hindi hinahawakan yung object, kaya mas safe and accurate siya, lalo na sa sobrang init. Next po. Langmuir probe. It is a device used to determine the electron temperature, electron density, and electric potential of a plasma. Langmuir probe is one of the most common and widely used plasma diagnostic and measures parameters and bulk of the plasma. Ang Langmuir probe ay ginagamit para sukatin ang electron temperature, electron density, at electric potential sa plasma. Isa ito sa pinaka-common na diagnostic tools para sa plasma. Next po. Next is infrared sensors. An infrared sensor is a non-conducting electronic instrument which is used to sense certain characteristic of its surrounding by either emitting and or detecting infrared radiation. Ang infrared sensors ay nakaka-detect gamit ng infrared radiation. Pwede siyang mag-emit or mag-detect ng IR. Pwedeng malaman ang temperature or ibang characteristics ng paligid ng walang direct contact.
Yan, bali tapos na po tayo sa ating temperature measurements at tayo po ay heading towards the methods of level measurements. Okay, first of all, what is level measurement? Well, level measurement is the process of determining the position of a boundary between two substances, typically fluids, solids, or a combination of both. This boundary or interface may exist between a liquid and its vapor, between two unmixable liquids, between a gas and a solid, or a fluidized material. Okay, the first one of these measuring instruments is, well, dipstick and lead lines. It is a classic mechanical level measurement tools which is used for centuries, especially by sailors to measure water depth. Still widely used in industries like fuel oil and petroleum storages. Well, and how it works is uses flexible lines with braided ends, which is chains or lead lines, and measures liquid levels up to 20 feet with an accuracy of about 0.1%. And it has many advantages, actually just three, which is it's highly accurate and easy to use, simple and cost effective, requires no power or complex electronics, but it has its limits and its uses. The first one, it's manually operated, which means it can interrupt your other task, or if you're doing other job or like if you're doing other jobs. Second one is not suitable for pressurized vessels. And the third one is no continuous or remote monitoring. And the fourth one is it's time consuming and lacks automation.
For the chain or float gauge, it means it's a level of measurement that are rivaled in simplicity and dependability by float-type measurement devices. Many forms of float-type instruments are available, but each uses the principle of a buoyant element that floats on the surface of the liquid and changes position as the liquid level rises. Many methods have been used to give an indication of level from a float position, with the most common being a float-in-cable arrangement. The operational concept of a float-in-cable is shown in the following diagram. So, when it is desired to add a bit of sophistication to the measurement system for ease of reading the level at one location near the bottom of a tank to gain a bit more accuracy, the system in a sample. Next slide, please. So for the chain gauge advantages, first, it ensures proper bike or machine chain health. Second, prevents chain snapping during use. Third, avoids damage to expensive sprockets. And for the limitation, first, only measure wear, not tension or lubrication. Second, not useful for all chain types. And third, give yes or no answer and not a precise number. Next slide. For the float gauge advantages and limitations, first the advantages has an accurately shows liquid level, helps manage tank filling, signal leaks or low levels. For the limitations, fails in turbulent or viscous liquids, needs an empty tank to move, can get stuck on tank walls. Next slide, please. Buoyancy is the force produced by the submerged body which is equal to the weight of the fluid it displaces. This is the theory of Archimedes' principle, which states that the force produced when a body is submerged into the liquid with a constant density is equal to the fluid displaced, which means that when a body is fully or partially immersed in any liquid, it is reduced in weight by an amount equal to the weight of the volume of the liquid displaced. Next slide. A hydrostatic head is the force or weight produced by the weight of the liquid. This method relies on the pressure of the measured liquid head to the provided level indication. The pressure exerted by a column of liquid is equal to the height of the column times the specific gravity of the liquid. Thus, from this we can calculate the level of the liquid in a vessel or tank. If we know the pressure at the bottom of the tank and the specific gravity of the liquid. Next.
Sonar and or ultrasonic. So it says here is that both are based on the same basic idea. Sound waves are used to measure distances and detect things. Well, the common or the actual principle is that it uses high frequency sound waves, whether it be sonic or ultrasonic, that are reflected by the material surface. So, meaning that the device measures the time it takes for the echo to return, which gives the distance and thus the level of liquid or solid. Now, as for its frequency range, sonic devices are usually below 10 kilohertz, while ultrasonic are around 20 kilohertz. As for its application, it's very useful when direct contact with the liquid or solid is not desirable, for example, corrosive, toxic, or sterile materials. We can see it, or we may see it, during water level monitoring in dams and reservoirs, fuel level measurement in tanks, water waste treatment plants, or simply during car parking sensors wherein we measure the distance from the car from the obstacles. Next slide, please. Now, as for the microwave, the main principle of microwave level measurement is very similar to ultrasonic, but instead of sound waves, it uses microwaves. Well, microwaves bounce off the material surface, and the reflection time indicates the level. So, of course, it have its advantages. Commonly or mainly, it works well in harsh conditions such as high temperature, high pressure presence, and presence of vapor or inert gases. As for its applications, it is continuous, non-contact measurement of liquids, paste, and slurries. Nakikita rin natin siya sa mga storage tanks in chemical plants, buffer tanks in food and beverage industries, oil refineries, and pharmaceutical industries such as sterile and sealed vessels. Next, please. Now, for conductance level measurement naman, it heavily relies on the electrical conductivity of the material. When the material makes contact between two probes or probe and vessel wall, it completes or breaks an electric circuit. It is best for liquids that are conductive, like water-based solutions. As for its applications naman, point level detection or high level alarm, pump control, or overflow protection, doon natin sila pinaka magagamit. Um, for its real life uses, nagagamit siya most commonly in detecting water level in boiler drums, sewage and water waste level monitoring, preventing overfilling in storage tanks, and of course control system for pumps, start or stop operation when the level is reached. Next slide, please. And of course, capacitance level measurement. So the main principle of this demand is that the material to be measured act as a dielectric between two capacitor plates. As the level changes, the capacitance value changes, which is measured electronically. It is best for both liquids and solids, can detect granular or powdery materials. As for its application, it is continuous level measurement and even in non-conductive materials. Also, makikita natin or magagamit natin siya sa grind silos to measure the level of wheat, rice, or corn, for example, or in plastic pellet storage bins, oil tanks, and of course, in the food industry, just such the powdered milk, flour, sugar, and silos.
Next naman po ay ang radiation. So basically, in this method, the material inside the tank absorbs some of the radiation that passes through it. The amount absorbed depends on how much material is present, which makes it possible to determine the level. Ang maganda po dito is that it works whether we just want a specific level check like at one point, or kaya naman a full continuous measurement. The principle is always the same, but the setup of the equipment changes depending on the application. Next slide, please. Next po ay ang weight, kung saan it is based on the simple relationship between weight and height. The idea is that the total weight of the tank and its contents can be directly related to the liquid level, as long as the density of the liquid stays constant. By using a weighing device, the system calculates the total weight and then converts it into height using calibration tables. For example, the calibration might say that 1 kilogram of liquid is equal to 1 foot in height. However, this method has limitations if the liquid density changes due to temperature or concentration differences. Next slide, please. In the resistance method naman po, the principle is that the liquid's pressure can affect electrical resistance. As the liquid level rises, it puts pressure on two conductors placed close together. This pressure changes the electrical resistance between them. The higher the liquid level, the bigger the change in resistance. Since resistance is easy to measure electrically, it's convenient to use this method. A popular device that uses this principle is called the metri tape, which is designed for level measurement. Next slide po. At ang panghuli po sa inferential or indirect methods ay ang microimpulse, which is also called the time-of-flight method. It works kind of like sonar or radar, but with electrical pulses. A signal is sent down the probe inside the tank, and when it hits the liquid surface, part of it bounces back. By measuring how long it takes for the signal to return, the system can calculate the distance to the liquid level. This makes the microimpulse method very accurate and reliable for continuous measurement. Next slide, please. Lastly po, for Chapter 7 ay advantages and disadvantages of level measuring systems. Next po. So, ang una po is yung sa mga sight methods, which is the dipstick and sight glass. Ang dipstick po is simple, cheap, and instant, giving a direct reading right away. Its disadvantage is that it needs to be removed to read, which means it cannot provide continuous measurement. Sa sight glass naman po, it is cheap and fairly foolproof, and it can handle pressure up to 700 megapascal and 300 degrees Celsius. Its disadvantages is it needs careful handling because it is brittle. Sa float methods naman po, the tape or float system is cheap and can be used with corrosive liquids, but it requires an opening for the tape. Its disadvantage is that it is only for low pressure or atmospheric conditions and it can stick din po. The potentiometer float gives a voltage output as the float moves with the liquid. Its disadvantage is stiction, which means static friction causing the float to stick and not move freely. The magnetic float works similarly, but it uses magnetic force to indicate the level. Its disadvantage is also stiction. Sa displacer methods naman po is yung spring balance, which can be used for measuring interfaces, which means the boundary between two different liquids like oil and water. It has a limited range, and its disadvantage is that it is expensive and has a limited measuring range, so it cannot be applied to very full tanks. The torque tube is used in most displacer transmitters, which are common in industry. It is accurate, which is good for process control, but its disadvantage is a limited measuring range. Sa pressure methods naman po is ang pressure gauge, which is cheap and can be used in both open and closed tanks, which makes it versatile. But it is not available in low ranges of water pressure, meaning it cannot measure very shallow levels accurately. Sunod naman po is bubbler method, which works well for slurries and corrosive mixtures because the measuring device does not come in contact with the liquid. Its disadvantages is that it needs a constant air supply, which adds extra costs and maintenance. Next slide po. Para naman po sa weight is yung load cells measure, the weight of the liquid, which makes them accurate and non-contact. So the liquid never touches the measuring device. The disadvantage is that they need frequent recalibration because changes in temperature or mechanical stress can affect accuracy. For electrical methods, the conductivity method is rugged and requires a little maintenance, which is good for long-term use. Its disadvantage is that it only works for conductive liquids, so it cannot be used for oils or other non-conductive fluids. The resistant method is also rugged and requires a little maintenance, making it durable. But the first few inches are not accurate, so it cannot be relied on for small amounts of liquid. The capacitive method is rugged and accurate, and it works well in many applications. Its disadvantage is that if only one probe is used, the tank po must be metal to act as the other part of the capacitor, which limits where it can be used. Sunod naman po is used sa ultrasonic method, which is the echo type. It is non-contact, which makes it very hygienic and ideal for food and pharmaceutical industries. However, it does not work well under high pressure, and it is expensive, which limits its use in cost-sensitive applications. And last po is yung radiation method. Hindi pala. Absorption is non-intrusive, meaning the measuring device does not touch the liquid, so it is useful in harsh or hazardous environments. The disadvantage is that it is expensive, less accurate compared to other methods, and hazardous because it uses radiation, requiring strict safety measures. And lastly po is yung thermistor method, which is new and has a reasonable cost, which makes it more accessible. A thermistor is a temperature sensor that detects changes when it is covered by liquid. Its disadvantage is that it only gives on or off readings, meaning it cannot provide continuous level measurement. So yun lang po for Chapter 7. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you so much, Group 4. Diba si Group 4 is chapter 6 and 6 and 7 lang no? Tama, no? Okay, so we all know temperature is a measure of thermal energy within a substance or system. So bakit nga ba mahalaga na ma-measure natin yung temperature. First is for safety and equipment protection. So it prevents overheating in engines, reactor, and lalo na yung mga electrical systems natin. So kumbaga ito yung heart ng manufacturing industry or ng industry yung electrical system. So ensuring safe operating conditions in industrial and laboratory equipments, then it also maintains yung optimal conditions in chemical reactions, food processing, and yung climate control system natin. And yun nga, may precision din in manufacturing processes such as metal forging and yung mga semiconductor fabrication. So, ano yung consequences natin pag hindi natin na-measure ng tama yung temperature? So, first, we have equipment failure. So, overheated machinery can lead to breakdowns, fires, or even yung explosions. So, safety pa rin, doon pa rin pumapasok. Then, product defects. So, incorrect temperature in manufacturing can cause contamination and rejection, and also yung mga health risk natin. Pati na rin yung ating environmental damage. So, pag lahat ng yun, yun yung consequence natin. Ano yung pinaka iniingatan ng may-ari or ng owner? Financial loss, di ba? So, spoiled goods, failed experiments, and damaged equipment due to temperature mismanagement. So, anong example ng ating temperature measurement errors? So, last time, or sorry, noong 2010, so meron tayong pharmaceutical storage failure. So, yung mga vaccines worth millions were rendered ineffective due to improper refrigeration temperature. So, hindi nila na calibrate yung temperature. Okay? So, anong consequence niya? It is, meron tayong public health risk and financial loss. Next is yung restaurants natin, 'di ba? Or food processors. So, 'di ba pag sa 7-Eleven na lang, 'di ba? Halimbawa, naging uminit. So, yung dapat ay sa mga pagkain natin na dapat nakalagay lagi sa ref. So, ano mangyayari? So, magkakaroon ng foodborne illnesses or mga penalties, reputational damage, and health hazards. Okay? Then, yun yung sa temperature. Kumbaga, si temperature, para siyang mood of a system. Too hot or too cold, and everything reacts. So, like emotions natin, di ba? It must be regulated to maintain balance. Next is yung level naman natin. Level refers to determining the height or depth of a substance. So typically liquid siya or bulk solid within a container, tank, or systems. So bakit nga ba importante nating ma-measure yung level? So first is it prevents overfilling or underfilling of tanks which can lead to spills, equipment damage, or hazardous condition. So also it ensures the consistent supply of material in automated system. And yan nga, kaparehas ng temperature, meron tayong optimal operating conditions in chemical and processes. So ano naman yung consequences para pag hindi natin measure yung level? Siyempre, sa mga tangka natin, lalo na sa mga oil and gas industry natin. So overflow and spillage. Siyempre, pag merong overflow and spillage can lead to environmental contamination, safety hazards, and material loss. And also yung mga dry running of equipment natin, like yung mga pumps, and yung mga mixers natin may operate without material and causing mechanical damage. So, ang example dito is nung 2005 daw, meron tangke or fuel storage tank in UK overflowed due to faulty level sensor. Okay? Nag-overflow siya kasi nagkamali or hindi calibrated yung level sensor natin. So, causing a massive fire and environmental damage. So, di ba yung konting spillage mo, biglang nagkaroon ng massive fire, isipin mo, madaming tangke yon fuel storage tank. Di ba? So, sobrang lakas talaga nun. So, yun. Isa yun sa consequences ng pag meron kayong level measurement errors. Ngayon, kung kanina, si temperature natin is smooth. Ngayon, si level is the heartbeat of the containment. So, like the water in the glass, it tells you how full or empty your system is. And ignoring it is like ignoring your fuel gauge on a long journey. Okay? Any questions or clarifications? Okay, so kung wala na, ibibigay ko yung remaining time sa inyo kasi ang nakalagay lang sa schedule nyo is 6 and 7 lang. Ayan, no? Okay, so thank you everyone and have a nice day. Thank you, guys.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you po.